I see it playing out. Let's say I see it starting off slow.
Okay.
And then I see as Shakur wins the first round, as Shakur wins the second round, slowly, I think Tio is eventually going to start picking it up and start imposing his will.
Right.
I think it's really that time for him to really take his first loss and, me whoop his ass to the point where either he quits on the stool or I knock him out. How I see this fight being played out is with me pretty much setting that momentum for the people out there as well. Not really trying to force for it. However, I can't be too technical with Shakur. You got to make it a little ugly. You do.
Everyone thinks they've already solved the puzzle of a Shakur Stevenson versus Teofimo Lopez showdown. The story never changes. Shakur is too slick, too defensively sound, too disciplined for the explosive but unpredictable Teofimo. Easy night. Clean decision. End of debate. But Keyshawn Davis just shattered that narrative. And this wasn't some teammate talking up his guy. Keyshawn is one of the rare fighters who shared the ring with both men, and what he revealed sounded less like an opinion and more like a warning. He's not predicting a chess match or a points fight. He's predicting something far uglier, something that won't be settled neatly on the scorecards. And he's basing it on things the public has never seen. But that wasn't even the real bombshell. While everyone else is locked in on the lightweight division and its endless debates, Keyshawn quietly laid out a career blueprint so bold it borders on insanity. A plan so ambitious it sounds impossible. Unless he actually pulls it off.
And I feel like boxing is my division. I feel I can really do whatever I want to do, and I know what I want to do after I beat Jermaine. I want to go to 147 and get a 147 title.
Oh, okay. There it is. They're going to.
Let's break down exactly how Keyshawn Davis sees this potential fight of the year unfolding, because what he said wasn't the safe, predictable take you'd expect from someone close to Shakur Stevenson. Instead, he laid out a nightmare scenario for the Stevenson camp. According to Davis, the fight starts exactly how the critics have drawn it up. Shakur takes control early. He boxes, dictates the tempo, and quietly pockets the first couple of rounds with that icy precision that makes elite opponents look like they're swinging through water. It's the classic Stevenson opening, clean, surgical, and deeply frustrating. But that's where the script flips. Davis doesn't see Teofimo Lopez fading like so many before him. As the rounds stack up, he believes Teofimo is going to switch on. The pressure builds. The confidence grows. And instead of breaking, Teofimo starts pushing back, imposing his will and dragging the fight into a place Shakur doesn't usually have to go. That's when things get dangerous.
Winner's bracket fight. In other words, they're jumping to it, but at the end of the era, it may have been Teo and Shakur, especially if you would never fight Shakur, right? How do you see this fight playing out?
I see it playing out, let's say, I see it starting off slow.
Okay.
And then I see as Shakur wins the first round, as Shakur wins the second round, slowly, I think Tio is eventually going to start picking it up and start imposing his will.
Right.
And then, it's just going to go from there. That's how I think it's going to go.
That's a fair assessment.
That's a fair one.
Especially for that to be his brother.
I think it's going to be close. I think it's be closer than people think.
Teo was
I think it'd be closer than people
very
think.
good.
Hey, one thing I can say, though, because, I've been seeing, we've been amateur together and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Tio can fight.
I'm telling you that. Teo can fight.
Winning back
If
then.
you said he couldn't, you'd be lying.
Right.
Of course.
That's a real assessment, though. I think Shakur still wins, but it's going to be closer than people think.
Teo is
nice.
a lot, man, no doubt.
Yeah, and Keyshawn, speaking of
This is the critical distinction most people are missing. The common belief is that if Shakur wins the early rounds, the fight is essentially over, a slow cruise to a dull decision. Keyshawn Davis is saying the exact opposite. He sees Teofimo Lopez dragging Shakur into a dogfight in the middle rounds, turning what's supposed to be a clean boxing lesson into something gritty, uncomfortable, and far closer than anyone expects. Davis didn't overcomplicate it either. He delivered a simple but heavy warning: Teofimo can really fight. That statement carries weight. It's a reminder that Shakur can't afford to switch off, not for a second, not against Lopez's power, and not against his ability to blow up a game plan once he finds a rhythm. Yes, Davis still believes his brother Shakur gets his hand raised in the end. But the picture he paints isn't a masterclass shutout. It's a survival test, 12 rounds against a man who refuses to accept defeat. And hovering over all of this is a massive X factor. Because Davis also hinted at a private conversation he had with Teofimo, one that raises serious red flags, and could change how everyone looks at this fight.
Would Teofimo knock out Shakur? No.
Can Teo adjust to the point where he beats Shakur? Yeah. You don't see how? Shakur hates slick and economic boxers. So does Teo. They both hate where each other are. Shakur looks great against volume punchers. De Los Santos sitting back and not being active, Shakur doesn't look good. That's when they say he's boring. The thing is, Teofimo Lopez is an excellent fighter. He beat Josh Taylor and Lomachenko. How did he beat Lomachenko? By being patient. Y'all sleeping on Teo. And it's at 140. Now the thing what's wrong with Teo is, Teo also looks good as a counter puncher when you are a volume puncher too. Another thing is, Teo looks very great when he's dialed in. He fights more athletic than Shakur. Shakur fights far more technically sound, and he's a more gifted fighter skill-wise. I'm leaning towards Shakur, but...
Davis then revealed something that should seriously worry every Teofimo Lopez fan. During a private FaceTime call between the two fighters, Davis says he picked up on something unsettling about Teofimo's mindset. His head might be completely somewhere else. When they talked, Teofimo wasn't discussing how to crack Shakur's defense. He wasn't talking about unifying titles, legacy, or what this matchup would mean for his career. According to Davis, Shakur barely came up at all. Instead, Teofimo was locked in on a completely different name, Jaron Boots Ennis. That revelation is alarming. One of the biggest stars in boxing, seemingly looking past the most dangerous technician in the sport, while obsessing over a welterweight boogeyman in a different division. If Davis's read is accurate, it raises a serious question. How focused can Teofimo really be if his mind is already chasing another war?
Teo, you've been vocal about your desire to fight Teofimo Lopez. And of course, I was there in Las Vegas, right, when you FaceTime Teo. Now Teo's fighting Shakur Stevenson. But do we see Keyshawn and Teo at some point?
How was Teo acting when I FaceTimed him? Since you brought it up, how was he acting?
You tell me. You tell the people.
Why do I gotta tell you?
You gotta tell him anyway.
Right.
How was he acting? How was he acting?
Hey, all I'm gonna say is he was not motivated.
Right.
He kept saying he wanted boots.
But look,
he kept saying he wanted boots.
If Teofimo is stepping into a chess match with Shakur Stevenson while mentally preparing for a brawl with Boots Ennis, he's walking straight into a trap. Keyshawn hinted that the distraction was unmistakable during their call. It raises a dangerous question. Does Teofimo fully understand the mental endurance required to chase Shakur for 12 exhausting rounds? Davis doesn't seem to think so. He noted that the hunger just wasn't there. The edge. The urgency. And in boxing, especially at this level, looking past the opponent in front of you is often the first step toward a brutal loss. But while Keyshawn was dissecting the mental warfare at the top of the division, he also made one thing absolutely clear: why he will never be the man standing across the ring from Shakur Stevenson. Fans have been calling for a Davis versus Stevenson super fight for years. It's the dream matchup, mentor versus protege, defensive genius versus explosive power, skill versus will. But Davis didn't just shut the idea down, he buried it. He explained that their bond runs deeper than belts or business. When Davis was at his lowest, dealing with suspensions, weight issues, and the mental strain of a chaotic year, it wasn't promoters or yes-men who stood by him. It was Shakur. The phone calls, the guidance, the steady voice pulling him back from the edge. To Keyshawn Davis, fighting Shakur wouldn't be competition, it would be betrayal. He sees the lightweight division as Shakur's kingdom, and he has no intention of launching a coup against the man who helped save his career.
Shakur Stevenson.
Without
Without him, I wouldn't be here right now, neither. And let's talk about Shakur, because y'all just keep riding his wave about us not fighting. Back then, I was telling y'all how I was going through all that mental home stuff, and he was the one that was calling me. And now, from this June situation, like two points of my lowest times, he was there.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's
This
right.
time, y'all actually got the witness. So, like, y'all keep talking about me and him fighting, bro. I would never fight Shakur, my like, y'all just need to kill that, for real.
Feel that.
But Shakur was one person I reached out to, like, on that level, and he just giving me game. Y'all already know how we rock. Adrian Broner reached out to me.
AB, yeah.
Giving me game. Hey, shouts out Southside. Southside, to the producer. Southside reaching out to me like, yo, get back in the Chance the Rapper. Chance the Rapper reached out to me. Shoot. I gotta go through the DMs. Like, a lot of people surprisingly who was just like, hey, Sauce Walker reached out to me. A lot of people surprisingly was just like, yo, get back, we miss you. You know, so hey, shouts out to y'all, man, for real. Shouts out Jay Prince. You know,
people remember who encouraged them when they were low,
hard times,
right? When you're going
hard
through the hard
times.
times,
Yes.
you remember who
That's real.
maybe even just gave you a word of advice. So I know you're not going to fight Shakur. Would you ever fight Shakur? No, I'm just kidding. In your mind.
So if the top of the 135 and 140-pound divisions is effectively blocked by his closest ally, where does Keyshawn Davis go next? This is where the interview took a turn that genuinely stunned people. Davis made it clear he has no intention of lingering at 140, waiting around for a title shot that may never come. Instead, he revealed a plan that borders on reckless ambition. He wants to jump straight to 147 pounds, the welterweight division, immediately after his next fight. That is an extremely dangerous move. Most fighters take years to grow into a new weight class. They ease in, test themselves against seasoned veterans, and slowly adjust to the size, strength, and pace before even thinking about a title. Davis wants none of that. His plan is simple and shocking: beat Jermaine Ortiz, then immediately go belt hunting at welterweight. No warm-up fights. No gradual transition. Just a straight leap into one of the deepest and most punishing divisions in boxing.
Left standing, they'd have had to. The Klitschko's never fought. They were brothers, right? Even when they ran the division. But if Shakur beats Teo, and he is favored to do so, he's the 140-pound champ. And if he stays there for a minute, and that's your division, when the dust settles, if you two are the best dudes, what are you going to do?
Right.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you like this, Max. Look, I'm 26 years old. I see the boxing landscape. I understand Shakur will be 140 champ, and that's my division. I feel like boxing is my division. I feel I can really do whatever I want to do, and I know what I want to do after I beat Jermaine. I want to go to 147 and get a 147 title.
Oh, okay. There it is. They're going to secret who he's waiting for. Businessman, baby.
His confidence in this move borders on arrogance, but it's backed by ice-cold logic. Davis believes the fighters operating between 140 and 147 pounds simply can't beat him. The size difference doesn't concern him at all. In fact, he went a step further, claiming he plans to stop these naturally bigger men. That's a terrifying statement. He's essentially telling the boxing world that weight classes don't apply to him, that skill overrides size, strength, and convention. If he follows through, he won't just be moving up a division. He'll be attempting to seize control of one of boxing's glamour weights at breakneck speed, skipping the traditional ladder entirely. But before he can chase welterweight glory, there's unfinished business waiting for him. Real tension. Real bad blood. And it centers around a rival Davis says completely fumbled the bag.
I mean, you tell me why, avoid a Keyshawn Davis fight. If you are Richardson Hitchens, I mean, don't you think that's right?
No. I wouldn't say avoid a Keyshawn Davis fight. No, I wouldn't say avoid a Keyshawn Davis fight. But I don't know how more realistic that is. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how realistic that is. You know what I mean? And actually, when you get a guy like that, if he was so interested, he'd have been calling Keyshawn out. You know what I mean? If he was more interested, Richard Hitchens trying to, he wants to be a famous fighter. He wants to, he wants all those things, I believe. So, you know what I'm saying? That was the right way to get it. If Keyshawn saying something, if they just threw it in the air, hell yeah, I'm going with Keyshawn. I couldn't get T.O. or the other ones, you know what I mean? So Keyshawn is right up there, so that's if I'm Richard Hitchens, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, you know what I mean, how much he had, because you know what I'm saying, he ain't calling for it. I haven't heard no more really about it for real.
Maybe they're framing that fight to be a unification, with Keyshawn. I know Shakur said something about, that's he's going to drop the belt eventually. It'll be Keyshawn's belt. Keyshawn number one in the WBO. Maybe a unification makes more sense.
Hey, listen, man, fuck all that. Let's get to the fights. The fights make sense. The fight is a good fight. And I just seen a thing where Keyshawn was talking about he don't care about being undisputed. I just seen him on some platform where he said he don't care about being undisputed. So forget it. You know what I mean? Just don't worry about that. I wouldn't put that much in it then, based off what he said. You know what I'm saying? And who doesn't want to be champ? You know what I mean? And they've been having a little rivalry. They've been having a little, back and forth or whatever, however it is, some kind of thing between them. You know what I'm saying? But plus, more than that, they good fighters. Let's fight. Plus I'm fighting at a higher weight. I feel more comfortable, and at the same time I want more respectability in the sport. So why not fight a young Richard Hitchison who can box his ass off at the same time? You know what I mean? So who's more of my size? Who's more? I really don't have a size advantage against Keyshawn. Doesn't really have a size advantage again, and you know what I'm saying? Still undefeated. Again, that make a big factor on your mentality, and is a world champion now. So, it might be a tough out for the kid, which would say a lot about Richard Hitchison to take on Keyshawn Davis in a first title defense. But you know what I'm saying? If you think you all that, then it's really not that hard. You know what I mean? Really shouldn't be out of the question.
Right.
The name Richardson Hitchens clearly struck a nerve with Keyshawn Davis throughout the interview. He wouldn't even say his full name, referring to him only as Africa, and the disdain in his voice was impossible to miss. This wasn't playful trash talk. It was personal. Davis accused Hitchens of smelling himself, acting like a superstar without the resume to justify it. He told him to relax, to stop disrespecting fighters who are actually taking risks and making real moves in the sport. But the real heat comes from what Davis describes as a blown opportunity, and he insists it wasn't on him. According to Davis, he brought receipts. He claims he signed the contract to fight Hitchens on the January 31st card. Not weeks later. Not after hesitation. He says he signed it the night of December 22nd, fully prepared to settle the tension where it actually matters. Then came the letdown. The next morning, instead of seeing a signed counteroffer, Davis says he watched Hitchens arguing with people on Twitter. In Keyshawn's eyes, that told him everything he needed to know. Big talk online. But when it came time to make it official, the moment slipped away. Davis paints Hitchens as a keyboard warrior, loud on social media, absent when the contract hits the table, while positioning himself as the fighter ready to sign on the dotted line. And if this clash ever does happen, that narrative alone is enough to make it absolutely explosive.
Sean, where did that tension start? Why does it sound personal between you two? Come on. I've been doing this a long time, kid. Let's go.
Africa need to freaking stop smelling himself.
Right.
For real. He need to relax. Africa, I realized Africa went pro at 2016. I was still amateur at 2016. I ain't go pro to 2021. Now I'm not even really trying to fight for your belt. Trying to go on 140. Africa, you need to relax and stop disrespecting, bro. It's one thing to talk trash, but bro, we all fighters. We all come from the same type of areas. Just stop being disrespectful, bro. Show people respect. Stop throwing business out there on Twitter. Just talk boxing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of narratives in boxing don't be about boxing. And I feel like he's one of the fighters that don't talk boxing, you know? So,
I feel that.
stop smelling yourself a little bit. I understand we become champion and all that. I understand. But just relax a little bit, bro, and stop being disrespectful, bro. And I bet a lot more opportunities will start coming your way.
No doubt.
Yeah, Keyshawn, and look, we know, right? You and Hitchens were in talks to fight on this card, January 31st. It was kind of close to getting done. Didn't in the end. What happened there?
Shit, I'm not even gonna lie. This is what happened. I was at my community event, December 22nd. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I'm on high right now. So after the event, I get a phone call. The guy said, "Yo, Key, I don't know what happened, but something happened. You fighting January 31st. I'm about to see the contract." For real? Word? Bet. Just like that. He sent me the contract. I signed that same night. And literally the next morning, I see Africa and bro arguing on Twitter and shit. I'm like, damn. I kind of feel bad for whatever. But yeah, that's what happened.
So
I got a heart, bro.
Keyshawn.
But all of this, the predictions, the weight jumps, the feuds, is fueled by a new perspective. Keyshawn Davis openly admits he's coming off a turbulent year. The weight misses. The suspension. Moments that could have completely derailed a lesser fighter, when the hype train looked like it might fly off the tracks for good. Instead of breaking him, Davis says it forced a reset. He doesn't see this return as just another fight. He sees it as a resurrection. During his time away from the ring, Davis stripped everything back. He reflected, cut out the noise, and leaned on a support system that included some unexpected names. He revealed that cultural icons like Allen Iverson and Chance the Rapper reached out to him personally, pushing him to lock in, refocus, and get his head right. That kind of support says a lot. It suggests Davis's pull already stretches beyond boxing. He has that intangible it factor, the same magnetism that made Iverson bigger than the sport he played. Davis admits he's fighting for something larger now. This isn't just about wins and losses, it's about a second chance to rewrite his story. And he didn't hesitate to say it out loud. He believes he will be the face of boxing. Not because he's chasing clout, but because, in his mind, talent and charisma make it inevitable. It's a massive declaration for a fighter who hasn't yet touched a world title. And yet, listening to him speak, it almost feels less like a prediction and more like destiny.
Let's call it a tumultuous year in your career, and you're now moving up to 140 pounds to take on Jermaine Ortiz, a guy who's hard to look good against. We just saw Junto Nakatani move up and have a very hard time in his debut in the new weight class. What do you hope to accomplish against Ortiz?
Really just go back in there being myself. I've been out of the ring for some time now, so I just want to go back, just want to go in there and have some fun, really.
Ultimately, everything comes down to what happens next. Keyshawn Davis has put himself on a high wire. Before the weight jumps, before the welterweight titles, before any talk of becoming the face of boxing, he has to get past Jermaine Ortiz, a dangerous, proven fighter who gave Teofimo Lopez serious problems. If Davis slips here, all the big promises about 147 pounds and boxing superstardom disappear overnight. But if he dominates, if he looks special, then we may be watching the opening chapter of something historic. Davis is betting on himself to do the impossible, leap weight classes, call his shot, and silence every doubter in one move. The ambition is massive. The confidence is louder than ever. Now there's only one question left. Can his performance in the ring cash the checks his mouth just wrote? What do you think? Is Keyshawn moving too fast, or is he really built like that? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed the breakdown, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what's coming next. Share your take in the comments, and we'll catch you in the next one.